I built a flow that helps find prospects' contact information for free. All you need is either their name and company name or their phone number. You just plug it in, and then the system does the rest, and it'll find their email or phone or whatever you're looking for. And so it essentially enriches the data around this person for you. It's kind of like your own little Apollo that doesn't really cost you anything. And I'm going to show you how to build it today. So there's a couple things that we need in order to actually build this entire flow. One is you need to have N8N. If you don't have N8N, then you can just get it. It's super cheap and it's actually free to self-host. I can make a video on how to self-host so you can do it for free. If you're interested in that, just let me know. And you also just need a Google Sheets, ChatGPT, and then something called Brave Browser. And basically, we're starting with the Google Sheets of the data we have. So a lot of times people will have data and it'll look something like this. And you may have a ton of data, but you don't have the most important thing, which is typically the people's email. And so, I was actually on the wrong page, but this is what I started with here. And the important information I had was their name and their company name. And I actually was lucky enough to have the number as well. I tried it with the number, still works with the number, but I did choose to use it with the name and company name. And so I had all this information, and what I needed to find was their email. And I didn't want to use A-Leads, I didn't want to use Apollo, Hunter.io, anything like that. I didn't want to use my credits on those services because I figured I could probably find it myself. And as well as these are Canadian people, it's for a client, and the Canadian databases just aren't that strong. So basically, I use my workflow to take that information and it spit out all of these emails, which are obviously for the people. We got Brad Miller here, and we find Brad Miller at century21.ca. And you can do this for yourself. It takes 20 minutes to build, and it's a really helpful flow for any number of enrichment tasks. So let's just start from node number one, and I'll run it with us as well. So starting with node number one is going to be your Google Sheets node. And if you're not familiar with N8N, it's totally okay. Just follow along and pause the video where you need to. This is all stuff that anybody will be able to do, and so do not worry. And so you get the Google Sheets node, which all the nodes can be found here. You just click this, type in Sheets, and you can drag and drop it in here. And all you do is you connect it to your sheet. And to connect it to your sheet, you actually have to first get Google OAuth 2. If you're not familiar with Google OAuth 2, it just means that you connect N8N to Google so they can look at your sheets and change them. And so this is what it looks like to connect Google OAuth 2. So all you got to do is open the docs and follow the instructions, but I'll go a step further. You can actually go straight to the Google Cloud Console, and then you can type in your API, and then all you have to do is enable API and services, and then you go to your Google Sheets, you type in Sheets, and then you just have to enable Google Sheets API, and then from there, all you have to do is go here and create a new credential by clicking Create Credential, and then all from there, you're going to paste this in to where it asks for your redirect URL, and then you're just going to take their ID and their client secret, and you just paste it in here, and then you click Connect, and you should be good to go. And then one last thing I should cover. In your sheets, you're going to want to add a column that says something like processed. And the reason why we want that is because when we're pulling this, we want to be able to only pull the ones that we haven't processed, right? So we just add that processed, and then it's either going to be null or true or whatever information you want to put in there. This one just says, hey, if the process is empty, it means that there's no value in there. It means that it has not been processed yet. And so we need to actually run that. And so I'll run this one. We still have 4,500 items left. And then you're going to add a loop over node. Same thing. You just click here, drag and drop in. Super simple. No changes made inside that, just as is. And then this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So then we're going to make an HTTP request node. You just click the add HTTP request, and then you're going to type this exactly as I have it here. And I'm sharing my API key. I'm going to have to change that. For the lucky few, you might be able to steal it if I forget. So, go ahead and try, but I prefer you didn't. And so add this API key here, or not API key, excuse me, add this API endpoint URL right here and type it exactly as I have. And two things to mention. The 10 here, that's a reference to the number of pages we're pulling. So if you want to pull more pages, you can do 20, 50, 100, or if you want to pull less, you do 5, 2, 1, doesn't matter. And then for the mapped items, so this is actually getting, you can see here we have Vega Santiago, Jeremy Milo, and he's with eXp Realty. You can kind of read that inside all these percentage signs. Just copy this exactly as I have because it's the encoded URI component. And the only thing you need to change is right here. So this is my field name. This is my column name in Google Sheets. You're going to want to change that to your column name in Google Sheets that references the person's name. Same thing with this. You're just going to want to change this in Google Sheets to the company name. And then if you want to use a number, you just get rid of one of these and you just input the number in there instead, and you're good to go. And then you just add your API key right here. And then you just add this thing that says accept application-JSON. Then you're good to go. You click execute and you'll get a result, something like this. And then from there, we're going to do a split node. And it's code. It is code because it is just a little bit better with the code. But you don't need to know after code. Literally just add the code node and type exactly this. Don't change anything. Just type exactly this as it appears and you'll be good to go. And basically what this does is it's going to take the title, the URL, and a short description. So it just finds the title for this guy or the website or whatever it is. And then it gets the URL for the website, which we're going to use to poll later to see maybe his email's on there. And then it gets just a short description just in case we want to use that downstream for enrichment purposes. And then we're going to aggregate that information, all fields, and make sure it's into a single list item, not the first one. And then we're just going to call it scraped underscore sites so that we have one single mappable item here. We see here, scraped sites. That's our one single mappable item. And then we're going to go here to our ChatGPT node, which is where some of the magic happens. And so I'll execute it so you can see what it looks like. So basically, you just give it a job first. If you're not familiar with AI node, there's a couple things you want to do. There's the system, which is you're giving it its job. What is the job this has? Is it a filtering assistant? Is it an advisor? Is it a consultant? What is this job that the AI has? And then you want the user, which is going to include the content that it's going to work off of, as well as it's going to include its specific tasks that it has for the job you assigned it. So in this example, you are a helpful filtering assistant with URL that look for website potentially attached to, and then I map in this person's name from the loop over node. And for Santiago Vega Harmilo, who works with eXp Realty with the goal of finding, I said her, it can be their email. I think it was supposed to be there. I think when I made this, it was a female, I suppose. Their email on the website. And then the next one is just going to be review the content under scrape sites. From the content, determine what URL may have, that their name, email address on the site. The person is a realtor in Canada. That's my client. That's my database, my client's database. And so you can change this to any niche, or you can make it more generic and so that it works with any niche, right? I went a little bit more specific because we know that it's only realtors on my list, and so might as well be more specific. It was a list of people from all different sectors. I would make it more generic because it's, you'll probably lose a little bit of them that way, but it's totally okay because it's better than having 15 different flows all specialized for all the different niches you have and then having to separate them. And so if you have a mixed list, just make it generic. And if you have questions about how to do that, drop it in the comments and I'm happy to answer. And then personal websites are the highest priority for them. And then the company websites that are something like agent, /agent, or have their name in it is second highest priority. And then told to output each into a separate child key. And a child key is basically like these things, right? Where it says 1, 2, 3. So you have a parent key essentially that's above them. And then you have the 3 separate ones that are on a drop down below it. Those are the child keys. It just makes it mappable downstream. It makes it a lot more manageable and easy to use. So the rules are do not include any social sites or data sites like Instagram, LinkedIn, ZoomInfo, Realtor.ca, really because the email is almost never on there, and also because you can rarely open these sites in any kind of HTTP request. And then output the entire URL. It will be mapped later, each in a unique child key named URL1, URL2, URL3. So I'm giving it structure here and so on. If there's no applicable domain, output null. Only once the name name that child key URL. So we have continuity downstream, URL1 for either their URL or URL1 for if it's null. And I'll show you what we're going to do with that later. Do not include anything that contains Remax in domains, for example, .remax. And I just added that because Remax just didn't let me open their sites on the HTTP request. And so I said, screw them, get out of here, Remax. And then you just include the data here. So it's scraped underscore sites. And then this is very important. You have it say JSON.stringify, and then you put in your mapped item here. Because if you don't do the JSON.stringify and then put the parentheses around your mapped item, you're actually going to be getting object, and your AI won't be able to read it because it is mapping in an object because it's coming from the aggregate node. Everything that comes from the aggregate node is always mapped as an object. Kind of annoying, but just the way it is. Then we're going to go here, and you can see this is, the URL.1 is not equal to null. If it's not equal to null, then it's going to pass on the top, which is true. And let's see here. And this one's false. So it didn't have any applicable sites, like, whatever sites they gave us, listings, and it's a realtor.ca site. So no applicable sites. Doesn't matter. I'll run a bunch of data through this right now so we can get some good stuff going on. But I'll just continue on for right now. So then we have our split out node, which is going to be going off of the output 0.content.0.text. And you can see here that is going to be this little blob right here. You just drag and drop there. And then that's going to split out your 3 separate items. We got 1, 2, 3, splits out 3, and then we're good to go. And then we go over here to an HTTP request, and we're going to map in that split out item. And so then it's going to get the HTML from each of the items that we snagged here. It's bradmiller.ca.ourteam, blah, blah, blah. It's get that one, and the other two, you can see one of them failed, which is fine. That's why we have the error branch. And then we just merge it in here so that it's all merged together. And then we go into the code and in the Java, and then we get a whole bunch of emails here because we got the whole team, right? We got the whole team, but we only want Brad's email. And so that's totally fine. And so we can go then to the if node, JSON.emails count is not equal to 0. That just means like, hey, if there's no emails, we're going to go back to this node, which this node is the same one where any fails go. I don't remember if I covered it a second ago, but basically you just attach to your list CA, you have the address 1, and then you loop over .items at JSON, and then you just have it go to null. So this is the unique identifier. For me, I put address. You can have whatever unique identifier you need, or you can create one along the way for each lead that passes through. Maybe just map them. This is lead 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, doesn't matter. It's important because otherwise it'll append to multiple places or it won't append anywhere. It does need to be a unique identifier. And so that way if this one had no emails, it would go here, it would say null. And in this case, let's see what we got. We got brad.miller@century21.ca. That's exactly the email we want. See, we got all these emails. We found all these emails from the website, and we were able to redact all the way to brad@century21.ca. And how did I code this node? So this one's a 4.1 nano. The other one was 4.1 mini. I don't know if I mentioned that. You can sometimes get away with nano. If there's more content, you probably want to use mini or potentially even the big boy of 5, 5.1, 4.1. No minis, no nanos, but less is more. A lot of times it saves you money. So anyways, how did I program this one? I said you are a helpful, intelligent filtering assistant that determines which email is most likely to be Brad's. Most likely to, doesn't matter. It understands what I mean. Who works as a real estate agent and then you include their company. And remember, that's its job. That's the job we gave this agent. And then from here, we're actually going to go to giving it the tasks for its job. The task is review the provided emails and output the single email that is the highest confidence of belonging to Brad Miller, a realtor at Century 21 Real Estate. Then I said, do not output any other content. Ignore generic support emails in large organizations. Look for the inbox that is most likely tied directly to them. If none of the emails appear to be attached to the person in question, output none and nothing else. And then I just map in the content, and we see that same structure of the JSON.stringify parentheses, and then your actual mapped item, which is JSON.emails right there. You can see this JSON.emails. And then it goes to the if node, and we did find them. So none is not true, none, or it is not equal to none, and so it does go through the true path. It goes to processed, which it then goes here and adds true to the listing.ca page so that we don't process them again. And then it's supposed to update emails. What's going on here? I think I updated some of the columns. That's my bad. I got rid of some stuff we don't need, and I added some stuff. But I can just get rid of all that, and now it's good. So now it's totally perfect. And all you do here is you just go into the next sheet, right, where you're going to be storing all your leads that you have enriched, and you just literally map them all from the loop over nodes, which is this guy right here. You just map everything you want. You just carry it over. You make sure the columns match, or name the columns whatever you want. It doesn't matter. And you just map everything you want, and then you map the email right here on the bottom under your emails tab, and then it automatically executes. And we can I don't know if it'll actually get them, because it's fine. I'll do this one manually because it already said true over there. So that's my bad. You get some spillage when you're kind of tweaking things along the way you go. But that does work perfectly fine. So do not worry about it. That's on me because I updated some stuff after the fact. And then you ring it all back, both this and this, to the loop. And so it'll continue to loop, and it'll continue to complete all the people in your handy dandy Google Sheets. One thing I guess I didn't cover, sorry, and just to backtrack here, is the Brave browser. So you go Brave, and I'll just log in here. And basically, you just need to go to your API keys, and you do have to sign up for a plan. You get 2,000 free scrapes, and so that's quite a bit. That's a lot of scrapes. And so it is free up to 2,000. Anything after that, I believe you pay like $5 per 1,000, which is still very, very, very cheap. And so then you basically get your API key. That's, you slap it into right here where we're talking about, and then you can actually work and you're good to go. And I guess the same thing should be said for the OpenAI, where you do have to include an API key from the OpenAI that you use. But OpenAI is just, it's so cheap. I've processed tens and tens of thousands of leads, and I've probably spent, I don't know, maybe like $100, especially if you're using the right. Oh shit! I didn't mean to do that. Especially if you're using the right model that's like a low cost model like Mini or Nano, you can get a ton of data push through that thing if you're not using too much context and you're using the right model without costing you too much. So realistically, you can do tens of thousands of leads using this system right here, and it's going to cost you less than like $100, which is really big. So I guess asterisks, free to point, extremely low cost, might as well be free. Brave browser is the most expensive thing in here, but sometimes it's better to pay for things just a little bit. So I should put that asterisk. So I apologize for any deception. It is free to a point, except for the tiny pennies that you'll pay for ChatGPT. And then after 2,000 searches, I think it's a month is what you get for Brave browser. So if you do break those limits, then yeah, it did cost a little bit. But nonetheless, this is a cool way to find anyone's contact information. You can use it for numbers as well. You can scrape for numbers. You just have to change the code node, and which I will I didn't hit the code note. I didn't tell you guys what this one is. I'm so sorry. Um, Code note, I will drop this in the comments so you guys don't need it to, copy it. I will scroll over it really quick. So here's the entire code note. Copy and paste it either from my comments or copy and paste it by just typing it in and, pausing the video, right, and typing it all into your code node. Because this is what actually extracts the emails. Or ChatGPT can definitely do this for you as well. Super easy. Nonetheless, guys, that's enough retcon for today. I guess I missed like 3 things. If I missed anything else, just let me know. Hope this video was helpful, and I've got some more content coming out soon, so definitely subscribe. I've got a lot of cool stuff that you're gonna find super helpful coming out. So subscribe, like, and we can all make our lives a lot easier and leverage this stuff to hopefully all make a ton of money and make our businesses better. Anyways, I'm Jake. Thanks for watching if you made it this far. Take care.